Alrighty then. Okay, greetings everyone. Welcome to another Brony Debates Live. I hope you're all having a wonderful weekend. I'm seeing some new names in the chat, so I'm very excited about that. Let's get a good start to the weekend. We are right in time for the kickoff of Generation 5, and the new MLP movie is airing today. So
Spoilers.
I haven't seen it. I don't know who else has seen it. The cat in my background hasn't seen it yet, and she won't shut up about it. Say, thank God I can't understand cat because she's just spoiling the whole thing. And yeah, so we got a few people together here tonight. Tonight's topic of do spoilers help or hurt is actually the suggestion of Mr. Silver Quill, who's joining us tonight. How are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm well. I bring the madness.
You bring the madness, and in your claw there, you've got a long time patron, first time coming on the debate, but been on Friday Night Fights a couple of times, Mr. Archer. How are you doing today, sir?
I am alive, I am well, and I'm running on 2 hours of sleep.
2 hours
Make
of
of
sleep.
that what you will.
Well, shoot, get what I take of that is get to bed sooner. Gosh darn. Okay, and we've got our usual blue ponies joining us tonight. Mr. Cordero, how are you doing tonight, sir?
Our usual. You make me sound so boring.
You've got that. I don't even know what to call that hat, but like only boring old people wear that hat.
It's an amazing hat. It's a distinguished hat.
Yeah, we're not having this conversation again. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing fantastic. I bring the rational, the rationale. I don't bring that. I don't know what I bring.
And we've got the other boring blue pony, DJ. How are you doing tonight, DJ?
I'm here, and because of that quip, I'm going to spoil G5. It ends like
Okay.
Soundboards.
Soundboards.
Yep, we're a little worried about that soundboard before the stream, but I think we'll be okay. I think we'll be okay, guys. So before we really get into the thick of it, Silver, real quick, just tell us what made you want to talk about spoilers tonight.
Well, it was a dark and stormy night. The wind howled. What? Make sure to tag your images. Make sure to tag your images. Funny enough, it was all the information that was starting to come out about G5. Netflix, in its usual insanity, loves to wait until like 2 weeks. So, and I was also working on talking about the G5 designs. And I thought of how unfair it was that the very first introduction was that bed sheet that appeared on a website from, I think it was South America. And that was our introduction to the designs, but it was not a very good introduction. And I thought about, we were introduced to several of the characters, but people are winging off. Made me think about spoilers. And I did a little research, why do spoilers hurt? And some of the answers I received were very surprising. So I thought, hey, this is worth talking about. So I shot the idea on over to Brony, and he invited me on here. And the rest, as they say, is history.
Alrighty then. So yeah, now real quick, let's just give a quick shout out to my very generous supporters on Patreon who make the bills easier to pay and the content easier to produce, especially those on the $10 and up tier, two of which are in this call with us, those being Mr. Cordero and DJ Skywalker. There's also Princess Heather Blossom, Shady Oak Ministries, Sid McConroy, Autoknight, Emerald Spencer, Sodden, Girder, Senko, Kyle Christensen, Stephen A. Wilson, Rein-Kun, Morningstar, QFlash, Billy Henline, Alden McManx, and Dark Malcontent, author of the Metaverse series. Please check out all their content in the description. They make some pretty cool stuff. Cordero's working on a really good Sunset Shimmer fan fiction right now, if you're at all interested in that. So, so if it's, I'm seeing a lot of new names out in the stream. I'm guessing you guys are, if it's your first time watching Brony Debates Live, let me just give you the breakdown. We're going to talk about the topic for a half hour to 45 minutes here and just throw ideas back and forth with each other. But I encourage you to participate in the chat as much as you want. We're going to be watching the chat stream, and taking down any interesting comments or interesting questions that we see. And towards the last 15 minutes of the stream, we'll get to them then. So we definitely want to hear from you out in the chat while we talk. So the ultimate question tonight: do spoilers hurt or help? So spoilers have been an issue in the Brony fandom. Well, they've always been an issue in the entertainment industry as a whole, but in the Brony fandom in particular, they've been an issue since about 2013, and since like going into season 3 and onward, we've had leaks of plot points, we've had leaks of show direction, we've had leaks of scripts, we've had leaks of whole episodes. At least one major leak every single season since 2013. And well, you know, when these things leak, there's usually someone talking about, is it a legitimate leak? You know, what does this imply? But nobody really has talked about the effect that it's had on our perception and enjoyment of the show. So, Silver, since this is your topic, why don't you start it off by answering this question? What have you observed when it comes to spoilers affecting the Brony fandom in your time with us?
Well, I'll start off by saying that I at no time do I want to encourage people to go out of their way to spoil a story or an upcoming episode for another. It's inconsiderate if that's basic etiquette. However, once spoiled, I don't think it's as bad as you might envision. Let's look at, well, probably for me, the biggest spoiler of the Brony fandom was the first time Alicorn Twilight appeared on social media. It was a photo of a publicity event in England, I believe. And it was before season 3 aired. So everyone was like, was this a mistake? Did someone do this? And then the question is, oh, wow, what if Twilight becomes an Alicorn this season? And yes, we had weeks and weeks of debates followed by months and months of arguments after the episode. But I believe that galvanized the fandom into having an opinion and really wrestling with what this means. And I think that actually opened the door for more thought and discussion before having to do a reactive talk about the events.
And that's pretty interesting, and I don't really have anything to rebut that myself. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to add or take away from what Silver said? No, the crickets. Okay, go for it. Sorry.
I mean, it makes sense. I get why people get uppity about spoilers, but I think my main thesis or idea tonight is that spoilers just don't matter. Like they're actually not as big a deal as people think, and they have way less of an impact than we give them credit for. I think, and obviously we'll get into that, but I think that's my starting point tonight.
Okay, so go ahead and expand on it a little bit.
Okay, so people are always freaked out about spoilers, and I really think that spoilers only matter when you're really young. If you've been around long enough to see a lot of media, and you've seen a lot of stories be told, because when you're a kid, and maybe you watch Frozen for the first time, you've never seen the twist villain trope, and when Hans goes evil, spoilers, it blows your mind. Maybe you've never seen a bunch of fairy tales, so when you watch Cinderella for the first time, you're really heartbroken when Celestia, when Freud says what, when Cinderella runs away from the ball and turns back into a pumpkin or whatever. So like, if you've never seen these stories told before, or you're experiencing something for the first time, yeah, it'll make an impact whether or not you know what the ending is. But most people who are adults have seen most basic stories be told before. We've seen twists, we've seen how characters end up, and I really think that whether or not a story is good or not is going to be in the execution. It's going to be how they told the story, how well those characters relate to you, and where you are in your life, and what kind of stories you want to experience at this point in your life. Because at different points in your life, you may have liked other media better than other stuff, and now you like different stuff than you used to like. Happens all the time. So I think just knowing what's going to happen, or just knowing literally the point by point plots of an upcoming movie, really are ultimately not going to make that much of a difference. Like if we had gotten a point for point plot summary of The Last Jedi in 2017 before the release, I don't think that would have made people love or hate The Last Jedi any more than they already loved and mostly hated it. I really think we put too much emphasis on spoilers, especially when most stories you've already seen told, and you're really just going to like what you're going to like if they execute on it well. And I did bring up, I put in our chat, the audience can't see it, but I put the screenshot back in 2013 when Equestria Girls was leaked. It was literally leaked. And we got this screenshot of the 6 girls in the middle of a high school, and it looks like a bad cell frame image where they layered it wrong, and it looks like the girls are like floating in front of the school. The artwork looks really flat. And we're just like, what is this garbage? This is going to suck. What are they doing? And then I also put a picture of the original toy line in 2013 of Equestria Girls, and it looks like knockoff McDonald's Bratz dolls. It looks terrible. Like the toys, it looks like a toy line's going to suck, and it looks like whatever this cash grab spinoff is going to be is going to be hilariously bad. And Equestria Girls turned out to be super popular amongst the fandom, not with everybody, but it actually turned out to be a big deal that a lot of people really loved. And I think whether or not we got these original leaks or not, or these early pictures or not, I don't think that had an impact on the show's popularity. I think people liked the way the characters were portrayed. It felt like the girls from the show were just girls in high school. It had the same style as the show. We liked it for a lot of the same reasons, and it also brought its own personality to the table. And Sunset Shimmer's redemption was famously loved by fans all over. Like even critics of Equestria Girls, liked how Sunset Shimmer was handled, and that's what made an impact, was how it was executed. And people probably forget these screenshots that I'm bringing up right now. People probably mostly forgot about these, because ultimately when we got the media, it just didn't matter anymore once you got the actual product. It's an illusion that spoilers matter, like whether you have them or not. You've seen the movie before, and you're going to like it or hate it regardless.
Alrighty then. So does anybody want to say anything to what Cordero was talking about?
I do, because he invoked Star Wars, I have a question for everyone.
Oh, no.
Do you remember the first time you learned who's the father?
I was going to bring this up. I was absolutely going to bring this up. I was probably like, I don't know, 7, 8.
Yeah.
December 2014, was watching the entire series with my younger brother on the family DVD player.
Huh.
So here's a follow-up question. Here's a follow-up to that question, Silver. Is it even possible to have that moment anymore? Because I feel like that moment in film history is so famous that it's encoded into everybody's genetic memories at this point. People just come out of the womb knowing that Vader is Luke Skywalker's father and knowing the line. Because it's just so ingrained into the culture now.
I have an interesting answer.
Can I just jump in here? Can I just jump in here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Anyone who knows a little bit of German understands what Vader translates into. It was leaked as soon as we heard his name.
Father. Darth Father.
It doesn't. It didn't. We didn't
Mein
know.
Vater. Wait, Vader. No, Mein Vater. Vater is not Vader. That's a different word.
Is it? No, because that's what I've heard it be translated as.
Back when I still had a lot of hair, I went to the barber and asked him to give me a fader.
Yeah, Vater. It's spelled Vater in German, because V's are pronounced with F's, so it's Vater. Vader is just a character, like Vader is not literally fodder. It sounds kind of similar when you hear somebody say it in a joke, mein Vater. It's like mein Vater, like, oh, that's kind of like a weird way of saying Vader, but no, that's literally a different word.
Although now I really want a Darth Lederhosen.
Angel of Speed in the chat says Vader is Dutch.
Oh.
I'm looking it up right now. Oh, it is Dutch. It is Dutch. Because I just Googled, but I was correct on German. Vater is German, but apparently Vader is Dutch, which, you know, same region, different dialect. So it's specifically the Dutch dialect. So yeah, I guess the Dutch were spoiled.
All right, so we've talked about that now. So, but what point were you getting to about? That was Silver's point about when
Vader.
Yeah, the first time you learned about Darth Vader. So go ahead with that, Silver.
Well, in truth, I'm impressed that you remember that moment, because it's as Brony said, I knew before I saw that scene. I'm reminded of like Freakazoid, where they parody that with Mark Hamill being the actual guest actor. It was so ingrained in our culture, so filled with humor. I never got to experience it firsthand because I wasn't alive then.
Am I the oldest? Am I the oldest one here?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm usually an old fogey.
I'm only 20.
When I was a kid, I grew up in the 90s. I'm just going to say that. When I was a kid, it was possible to have that experience because Star Wars was big, but it wasn't what it is, the cultural dynamo it is today, but it was pretty big. It was possible, especially as a kid, to have that oh my god moment in the movie. But here's an interesting thing about that. I remember that scene having a huge emotional impact when it happened, but I couldn't tell you if I knew going into the movie that was going to happen. I can't remember for the life of me if it was spoiled or not, but I do remember the moment. And that speaks to my point of the spoiler doesn't matter. If it's a well-executed movie or well-executed scene, it's gonna hit you regardless if you got spoiled or not.
So when I was a kid, I actually liked Star Wars a bit, and I do remember being sat down in front of the electronic babysitter and just had those movies put on for me. Because my family, like every other family in America, had the original trilogy box set. So on VHS. So we're watching that. I'm watching that, and I remember thinking for the rest of that movie and the rest of the next movie that they were lying. Vader was just trying to convince, lying to Luke to emotionally manipulate him into getting him onto his side. And I was like, I remember asking people that wasn't real, was it? Did they actually confirm that Vader is Luke's father somehow? Like, how do they know? How do they find right? So,
the next movie.
Yeah. So for me, I mean, no, I wasn't there in 1982 in the theaters to see it, but
that's what people were speculating between movies between 81 and 83. I want to say is the gap.
Yeah.
Well, even James Earl Jones himself didn't believe it as he said it.
Yeah, right, because here's the thing about that was until the movie actually got released in the theaters, that was the most well kept secret in Hollywood to that date.
Yes.
Because on set, all of the actors were instructed to say, "No, Obi-Wan killed your father," and then
Luke had the same reaction.
Right. So it was a surprise to even the actors, which is extremely difficult to pull off these days, because everything just gets out there so much, and that something that'll lead to a point I'm going to make later about how industry today tries to prevent spoilers. So, but my point that I'm trying to make to Silver is that it's not. I am probably one of the rare people that didn't really have that moment ingrained into me. I experienced it genuinely. I experienced it genuinely firsthand.
Yeah. I can't remember if I did or not, but I think Homer Simpson spoiled Star Wars for me because I also watched The Simpsons as a kid, and like I said, I can't tell you for sure because these are based on my memories of being really young. But I think that I watched the Simpsons episode where Homer spoiled the ending of The Empire Strikes Back to a line of people waiting to see the movie in 1981 because they had a flashback scene of Homer and Marge seeing The Empire Strikes Back in 1981, and Homer's walking out of a movie into a crowd of people waiting to get in. He goes, "Wow, I can't believe Darth Vader was Luke Skywalker's father," and the whole line goes, "Oh, come on!" And I think that might have spoiled. I might have seen that episode before I saw The Empire Strikes Back as a kid, so I might have literally been spoiled to Star Wars by Homer Simpson. But I'm not sure if which one I saw 1st. Either way, the scene was emotional. You know what? That's the word. It was very emotional for me, and that makes my point stand. It didn't matter if I got spoiled or not. The scene was good.
So Silver, go on with the point you've tried now 3 times to make.
Well, that was part of it. That knowing this going in, Empire Strikes Back still remains my favorite. Not because I'll never get to experience that firsthand shock. It's how pivotal, how it all ties together, how Luke throughout the movie is ideal for his. He's trying to idealize his father, and then this shocker comes up. So it's a very well done piece.
So let me ask this question of everyone then. When you had a spoiler moment in Brony, did it affect how you went into that particular episode? And for this one, I'd like to hear from Archer first.
Kind of have to go with somebody else. I didn't really start watching the entire series till basically right after the series was done.
Okay, so you sort of already knew everything, all the major twists that would have been before. Is that correct?
Wing Twilight.
I mean, I didn't have access to Netflix.
Okay. All right. So Archer, I still want to hear from you. So let me ask you a different question, and then I'll ask that question to somebody else. So Archer, have you ever had an experience where let's broaden the scope, where learning something about the plot of something you're reading, playing, watching, anything, you got it spoiled for you, and it affected how you digested the rest of the piece leading up to the moment that got spoiled? Has that ever happened to you?
I can't say it actually has.
Okay, so what are your opinions on the effect of spoilers in general?
More of a gray area on this. If it's something that's over a decade old and you're only just getting into it and you get spoiled, I believe, well, it's been a decade. You've had plenty of time. You're gonna get the spoilers whether you want it or not.
So
if it's something closer to now and you get spoiled, then it's kind of a jerk move.
Okay. So how about this? Have you seen Avengers Endgame?
No.
Okay. Well, shoot. That blows the wheel right off of the next point that I was going to make. So I might have to spoil it.
You should spoil it for it.
Go ahead, I'm never gonna go see it.
Okay, so if he's never going to go see it, then cool, I don't care anymore. I think the modern day equivalent of Luke, I am your father is Captain America picking up Mjolnir. Am I wrong?
No, a right movie, wrong moment. It's the snap. The snap in Infinity War is the equivalent.
You think so?
Yeah, that's the moment that everyone was like, half of everyone died. Half of the world and the series died. That's the spoiler. Captain America picking up Mjolnir was kind of like a flavor on top.
Age of Ultron.
Because I'm talking about Endgame, not Infinity War.
It's the same movie. It's the first half of the same movie, basically.
Okay, sure.
What?
So,
But that's definitely. I guess if you're focusing specifically on in-game, that would be like saying the spoiler of Return of the Jedi is the Ewoks helped win the battle. That's the equivalent of Captain America picking up Mjolnir. Is the Ewoks could kill an AT Walker.
okay. So, do you think? So, how about this? Silver, do you think either of those scenes would have been as effective to you if you had known about them going into the theater?
No, I don't think so. Although I come at this from a very weird angle.
Tell me.
When at the my first viewing of Endgame, by bad luck, I was next to someone who had a verbal tic. They made lots of grunting sounds, and I don't think it was something they could control. Therefore, it was pretty hard to get emotionally invested. Period, as I had a pretty sizable distraction next to me.
Oh, geez.
So, but that was a great scene. But let's note that it built on Age of Ultron, and in some ways capped off a certain character's legacy. However, I will also say that the actor for Spider-Man dropped a pretty major spoiler for this movie I think it was the Late Show, or maybe Jimmy Kimmel. He mentioned this before the movie came out. He blurted it, and everyone in the audience groaned and booed, and he was so mortified. So here's the thing. An emotional resonance requires investment.
Correct.
And whether or not a spoiler disinvests you is going to vary person to person. A friend of mine said he saw the Let It Go section from Frozen and figured that was the best part of the movie. I mean, we all remember there's a reason it became a meme.
It's a good part of the movie.
It is, and arguably the best.
Yeah.
So that disinterested him from the rest of the movie because he figured nothing else is going to compare. And so, therefore, that's how a spoiler might, but that's a reaction one person might have. Another person might watch that section and say, hey, what got her to this point? And then we can learn about, well, her parents got Disney'd.
So my thing with spoilers is I definitely try to avoid knowing anything about a piece of going into it ahead of time. I don't want to know anything about it because that is how I absorb everything about it in its purest fashion. And when I have aspects of it spoiled to me, beyond general premise and I want to see where this goes, I want to see how this affects, or what twists they put in the story, if any. So if I have any of that spoiled to me ahead of time, then I start developing preconceived notions about things, and it definitely sours the overall experience for me. And I think that most people have a similar sort of mindset. I don't know if the present company is included in that, but I think I share that with most people. And from what I've observed, just talking to people, if they know, people will avoid, let's say, watching a show if they know certain characters are going to be in it, or if they know certain actors are going to be in it, or if they know it's going to go in a certain way, and they have a coin toss of a chance of being right or wrong, and maybe they're missing out on something that could have gotten a genuine enjoyment out of it, or learned something that could have helped break down any of those potential prejudices. But they rob themselves of that chance. And I will fully admit that I'm a pretty judgmental person, and there's a lot of things that if I see it, and it could be a plot point, it could be a characterization, it could be a lot of different things where I'm going to go, oh gosh darn it, this is going to suck now. And then when I go into it, I'm just, instead of sitting there and enjoying it and absorbing what it's supposed to be and trying to connect with the people that made it on that artistic level, I'm just, part of me, in varying percentages of me, I should say, depending on the pieces, going, okay, when's this going to start sucking? and I don't like that feeling. So I want to know as little about things as possible, and then I can give it an unbiased perspective going in, where now whereas if I'm spoiled, now I have to constantly second guess myself because I know that I have my own preconceived notions and prejudices. So does it actually suck from something that I would determine as objective from a storytelling aspect or a characterization aspect, or am I just being a prude? And Cordero knows me very well and has heard me rant about certain things, and he knows darn well there is a coin toss of a chance that it either does actually suck or I'm just being a prude.
I think that you think yourself out of enjoying movies, and can we clip that rant and then just put up and be like, this is why Brony hates everything, and just play that rant about how, but if I know what's going to happen, and just do like the math meme in front of the woman's face, but if I know what's going to happen, then I have preconceived notions, and then I'm thinking about, but if that's different than my expectations, this is why you hate everything, is you think your way out of enjoying anything. So to piggyback off of Silver Quill, who said that context matters, this is why spoilers don't matter, is because suspension of disbelief exists and context matters. It doesn't matter if you have read the script of a movie and know everything that's going to happen. The context of how they pull that movie off and the execution, like I've said before, that's what's going to make you emotionally invested. It's not the actual plot points. Which is why I don't remember if I was spoiled about Luke Skywalker's father, because they made me care about Luke Skywalker. They made me afraid of Darth Vader. They made me invested in Luke Skywalker's journey. So when Darth Vader is like, well, your whole world's upside down because I am your frickin' father that you're trying to avenge, and everything you've done has been worthless up to this point. Not to mention, I just handed your ass to you, and the last two movies have told the audience that you're awesome. So this is the lowest point for you and the audience. It didn't matter if I knew Darth Vader was Luke Skywalker's father. That moment was earned regardless. And I really think that the idea of, oh, well, I know spoilers, so now I'm going to enjoy the movie less. I really think that that's an immature response, and not like immature as in rolling around in the grocery store demanding candy, but immature as in it's as if you haven't seen movies before. Like, everybody has seen a character turn evil before. Everyone has seen a twist ending before. Everybody has seen a trusted character become an untrusted character, or an untrusted character become a good guy at the very end. We've all seen these twists and turns before. So just knowing that that's going to happen shouldn't have that much of an impact on the movie, whether you know going in or not, because the way that they set that up, the way that they earn that emotional payoff, is going to determine whether it actually pays off or not. Not the fact that you knew it or not, because you've seen it before. That should only have a massive impact on someone's enjoyment of the story if you've never seen that story told before. But everybody has seen most of the basic movie tropes before, so getting spoiled on a basic movie trope shouldn't affect the execution for you. And I really think that people's movie experience, the way we experience movies and our memories in our mind, is not linear. We think it's linear, like, oh, I know the ending before I saw the movie, so it's ruined. You don't experience the movie in your mind linearly. You remember you go back and you remember the most emotional moments, and whether the most emotional moments are emotional or not depends on how well they set that up. So learning the movie out of order doesn't affect your memory of the enjoyment of it. There's some meta shit for you.
All right, so I have some rebuttals to that, but before I go into another rant, does anybody have anything they'd like to add or take away from what Cordero just said?
Actually, I'd like to.
I'm still trying to process what he said.
What'd you say, Archer?
I'm still trying to process what he said.
Okay, well, we'll keep up. This is not a remedial class. Okay, Brony, that's mean. Silver, what do you got for me?
Disavow.
Well, before I do, DJ, I worry you haven't had a chance to speak up in all this.
I'm not good at interrupting.
Then here's an opportunity. You don't need to interrupt it. Would you like to add anything?
A lot has been said, but it also kind of feels like the question itself is getting left behind here about being spoilers help or hurt.
well, I'm building my way up to my ultimate point on that, but that's why I'm asking. I want to hear more from you guys before I bring the hammer down.
All right. Well, DJ's good. Brony, I may try to co-opt you a little.
Do it.
And I will invoke the cold hand of science.
Ooh, science. I like science. Let's do it.
All right. First of all, this has actually been a psychological study. Jonathan D. Levitt and Nicholas J.S. Christenfeld of the University of California, San Diego, wrote a report titled "Story Spoilers Don't Spoil Stories." Now, if you can say that 3 times fast, I admire you.
I would need some practice.
Story spoilers don't spoil stories. Story spoilers don't spoil stories.
Sally sells seashells by the seashore. Theophilus Thistle, the successful thistle sifter. I've already messed it up.
Okay, that's enough for you mother pheasant pluckers. Silver, where are you going with this?
All right. In this study, they subjected control groups. Some were given ironic twist stories, some were given mysteries, some were given literary stories. Some were spoiled on those endings, some were not. And they had a mean hedonic rating, basically how much you enjoyed the story. And ironically, or surprisingly, more often people enjoyed the story when it was spoiled than not. Now, this couples with what Brony was talking about, that he thinks his way through a spoiler and basically can think himself out of enjoyment.
And the point that I had made, which might be getting disproved in your upcoming points here, was that, in my experience, most people share my mentality when they go into something. So that's what I was building up to the ultimate point that I was going to make. But go ahead.
Well, what you're describing is referred to as theory of mind. Theory of mind is the ability by which we attribute thoughts, desires, motivations, and intentions of others, and we use that to explain actions and behaviors of others. There might be a whole line of thinking and experience that we don't know about, but we make the best judgment or evaluation we can. That is true of stories as well. So when you learn that character A does this huge shocking act, some folks may render a judgment immediately and saying, oh, this is going to suck now. Other folks will be like, well, why did that person do it? And then, therefore, watching the movie, the show, the book with spoilers in mind changes the journey. The argument that many psychologists make is that by knowing the outcome, you enjoy the journey more. There's uncertainty. It's like, the first time you drive somewhere, you're paying attention to where are the road signs, where do I turn? But on that second trip, you might notice the scenery a bit more because it's more familiar. A spoiler, while not okay to invoke carelessly, may in fact heighten your enjoyment in cases because you're not worried about the outcome now.
It turns the movie into a puzzle. The ending, and the ending or spoiler doesn't match what's established at the beginning of the movie, hence it being a twist or whatever. So now it turns the movie into a puzzle. How does it get to that point?
And perhaps some of the pieces are now more simplified, so they fit together easier, and you aren't frustrated trying to complete the picture.
Yeah. And you see things that other people don't because you have that piece that other people are missing. So other stuff reads differently. Lines have different meaning to it. It's just like when you go watch a movie a second time, knowing the twist ending, you're like, oh, look at all these hints that I didn't know were hints.
Now, it's worth noting in these studies that further studies have critiqued this only covered short stories. A different medium may invoke a different reaction. Also, this is the mean hedonic rating, the balance of people's enjoyments.
So there can be people on the extremes having extreme reactions, kind of like Brony thinking himself out of a movie.
Well, so then the next questions would be, what were the sample sizes and what was the standard deviation?
All right. Well, let's see here. I'm going to throw out a bunch of titles at y'all. A dozen.
Okay.
And
Okay.
in the ironic twist, we have A Dark Brown Dog, Owl Creek Bridge, Lamb to the Slaughter, and The Bet.
Without context, those are all meaningless.
Exactly. Mysteries. I'm hoping someone in the audience is like, hey, I know that one. Blitzed, A Chess Problem, McHenry's Gift, and Rhyme Never Pays.
Oh, these are all short story titles?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So, honestly, I'm also trying to subtly get people to read more. Hint, hint, wink, wink.
Are you just trying to point out how unread and uneducated we are? Because it's working.
Believe me, I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
And under literary story...
No, go.
And under literary stories, they went with The Calm, Good Dog, Plumbing, which sounds like a porno, and Up at the Villa.
The Cast of Amontillado.
Oh, now, why
The
didn't
stuff
they
I remember.
include that? Why didn't they use that? Or maybe because...
Isaac Asimov's Entropy. Let me see if I can come up with other short stories I've actually read.
So, I think these may have been chosen, one, because of a mystery requires a whodunit. An ironic twist requires a surprise. But maybe because these titles are less well known, there's less risk of polluting the control group.
Could be. Yeah, everybody read The Cast of Amontillado, and Isaac Asimov's super popular. Isaac Asimov's Entropy kind of has a twist. The twist ending is that the computer that they keep asking, how do we solve entropy? The computer solves it by becoming God at the end of the short story. It's a pretty cool short story, and I don't give a fuck that I spoiled it for everyone.
Actually, I'm kind of intrigued. How does a computer become God unless it accesses the internet and starts Tumblr?
It's a short story of a series of small scenes where it's set in the future, but it's only a little bit in the future at first, where humanity meets a computer and humanity is just exploring the stars and bettering itself. And they keep asking, well, everything eventually wears down, like things die, energy runs out. Computer, how do we solve the problem for entropy, for things wearing down? And the computer is every time is like processing, no answer. And then it keeps jumping farther and farther down the future as humanity keeps ascending higher and higher. It's still that we still haven't solved for entropy, and the characters keep asking the computer, how do we solve for entropy? Until at the end, humanity's like ascending into beings of pure energy, and these beings of pure energy, the universe is about to burn out of energy and become extinguished, like the heat death of the universe is near, and humanity and the universe is downloading their energy selves into the computer to preserve themselves, and they keep asking the computer, how do we solve for entropy? And when the last human is downloaded into the computer, the computer says, I've finally done it. I've discovered a solution for entropy. And the computer said, let there be light. It's the coolest short story I've ever read in my life, and that blew me the fuck away when I read it. Yeah, so that's cool. I didn't think I'd get to talk about Isaac Asimov's Entropy, but yeah, that's still one of my favorite short stories.
So real quick, so the audience knows, Silver, as he's talking with us, is sharing the links to the stuff he's talking about. I'm gonna copy those links and put them in the description. So if you're watching after, no pun intended, after the fact, you can check the description.
You owe me a quarter.
Frick! You can check the description and see the what he's talking about for yourself. Anyway, go ahead, Silver.
Well, I was just saying, you've basically told the audience, kiss my Asimov.
Hey, I like it.
Amazing.
Yee. But I guess at no point do I want to say that because psychologists do this one study, therefore that is the norm. This is a sample of people, but it's never so clean and simple as one size fits all.
Yeah. I would say, like, I understand people wanting to avoid spoilers. I often do if it's something I'm really excited about. Like, I haven't looked up any Gen 5 stuff, and here I am saying spoilers don't matter. It does tend to be people's preference, but I would say to people, if you get spoiled on something or somebody messes up and spoils something from you, I would tell people to kind of back off. It's not half as big a deal as we make it out to be. And I don't like seeing anti-spoiler witch hunts. It's like, guys, it's not that big of a deal. Like, put your own blinders on. It's up to you to avoid spoilers. Don't ask the entire world to stop talking about something because you're afraid of spoilers. I think that's my big thing.
So what about who remembers 2001 when
A Space Odyssey.
not quite 2000, it was either 2000, sometime between 2001 and 2003, there was a Harry Potter book coming out, and the synopsis had leaked, or the all the plot points had leaked onto the internet somewhere, and people were like driving by the lines to buy the book, yelling, "Snape kills Dumbledore." Right.
That was book 6, so that would be a little bit later. I want to say book 6 was 2005.
Yeah.
Ish.
And
book 6.
Yeah, and that upset a lot of people, and it sort of robbed them of that reaction of getting to experience the "I am your father" moment themselves. Yeah. Now, what?
Yes, in England on the London Bridge, I believe they hung a banner that said "Snape kills Dumbledore. Snape is the Half-Blood Prince." Spoilers. That it was in England was where like there was the big one and everyone could read it, and yeah, that pissed a lot of people off. And I would argue to those people that were really mad, and I can understand being mad of being spoiled on that if you've invested years into that book series, but I would argue that those people who got spoiled, that it did not in the long term affect their enjoyment of book 6 in the Harry Potter series as a whole that much. They think it did, but you still loved that book as much as you were going to love it despite getting that tidbit ahead of time.
Now, the ultimate point that I was going to make here is sort of contrary to what Silver and you are talking about. It doesn't affect things that much, but they tell you the exact opposite when you're working in television and film. And for the experience in those two industries that I have, that's a huge deal. They'll take you to task for hundreds of thousands of dollars if they think you leaked a plot point, and sometimes they rewrite entire movies because things have gotten leaked. And there's I think one of the X-Men movies got totally recut and rewritten and redone from the ground up because the script got leaked, and they didn't want people to be spoiled on the movie. Disney and Star Wars in particular, like even before Disney acquired Star Wars, were notorious for having a different script every single day and just shooting 20 different versions of the same scene, where they get to set and there isn't even a script, which is astounding to me. I can't imagine going into I don't even know how you make a movie without a script. Everything I know says it's impossible, but they're so dead set on avoiding those spoilers and knowing the nature of the internet that they will shoot 20 different versions of a scene so that they can pick and choose which ones they want. They can throw them in at random and avoid so that everybody's first time experiencing it is genuine, and they're getting that surprise, because what I was saying earlier is that I share, at least I think I share in common with a lot of people, that we go into something to experience something and get that surprise out of it. And if there is a twist, then cool, we enjoy that twist and we enjoy seeing something different. And if it's familiar, we enjoy that too. But there's still an element of surprise and enjoyment in that surprise of not knowing which one you're going to get. Are you going to get a surprise, or are you going to get something familiar? Are you following me on that?
I am following you on it, and I think there is a point where we're spoiled, because remember how I said context matters more than spoilers? Well, there is a point where the more details or spoilers you get, the more context it starts filling, and that's where you start blurring into, okay, now I'm getting so much context that it is having do you see what I'm saying? It is having an impact on my enjoyment of the movie, because you're not just telling me this character does this or this happens at the end or the good guys win. Well, imagine that. At the end of the movie, you're giving me a bunch of the context, and I'm not getting to experience that context. So but I think that there's like a point where the information gets to be so much that it starts giving the context, which could impact the experience more. But that's that's really nebulous. But I think in general, spoilers like this character dies, this character turns evil, this character ends up helping the good guys. Those are mostly the spoilers I've been talking about.
Right. So, DJ, I haven't heard from you in a little bit. Do you have anything to say?
Well, where I'm coming from is I do believe spoilers, depending on the situation, I suppose, more often than not, I think help. Because while the surprise itself can be interesting, it's going to lead to different reactions with that surprise. Speaking from an anecdote here, going back to Star Wars, I got spoiled on Last Jedi. I saw an article and I looked into it and I read that, for those that care or not, Luke Skywalker dies at the end of The Last Jedi. And for me, it was like, he does? Well, how does that happen? And but I know that there's some people who, if they saw that spoiler, they're going to be like, well, now I'm not going to watch the movie. But where I'm coming from is, knowing that spoiler ahead of time, you were never going to like it in the first place, whether it was a surprise or not.
Yeah.
Because if whether you knew Luke was going to die, if you're against him dying in the first place and you saw it on screen, you're still going to be mad.
And that was roughly my experience with Twilight becoming an alicorn.
So either way, it's the same impact.
You were going to hate it no matter what.
Yes.
Not going to see it means you would actually feel better not seeing it, because it's not something you would want to support in the first place.
Yeah. I think one of the coolest or one of the most impactful moments during the movie of Last Jedi was when Admiral Karen crashed her minivan into the bad guy's truck to save the good guys in the Publix parking lot. That was a really well executed scene. That I was like, holy shit, that was really cool, and I almost like this character now because of that moment, because that was a great moment for that character. I wish they had made me like that character first and then had her be confrontational, instead of just being like, this woman is the worst teacher you ever had in school, this woman is the worst customer you've ever dealt with at your job, and then try to tell me I'm supposed to like her. Like, I wish they'd done that in reverse. But if that had been spoiled for me going into Last Jedi, I probably would have still found that scene super cool and impactful, because it's the sound design, the moment, the suspense of that moment set up, what's at stake, and like what she accomplishes by killing all those enemy ships, how powerful and impervious and imposing that enemy fleet was. The whole movie was them trying to escape the choking grip of that fleet, and she eradicated it in one light speed move, which has lore issues, but in the moment of the movie, in that one move, she eradicates that fleet that's been slowly choking you, the audience, and the protagonist the whole movie. And if you don't watch the whole movie, you don't experience that release of, oh my god, she killed all of them in one shot. Like, that was so cool, and the sound design and the visuals were really good. You can only feel that by experiencing the full context. Somebody telling me that Admiral Karen crashed her minivan into a truck in the Publix parking lot to save the good guys, that doesn't spoil it for me, because that doesn't give me how cool that moment is in context.
Silver, what do you think about all this?
For me, the greatest spoiler of The Last Jedi would have been, you're going to waste $12.
Oh, it was low-hanging fruit, but it's still good.
Low-hanging fruit. Now, I do agree with you on the power of that scene.
Yeah.
One of the oddest things I came across listening to, say, YouTube talks about spoilers and the concept of spoilers, and reading about this, one article said we've placed too much emphasis on story, which is a guy who likes to review stories. I beg your pardon?
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing right now.
But there is...
What do you mean by that?
That, much like that scene in The Last Jedi, the sound design, visuals, computer graphic and practical effects, if practical effects are a thing anymore. Sometimes.
If you're a famous enough director, they'll let you use practical effects.
I sincerely hope to keep doing that.
That's what I've learned.
But basically, that experience, while the story may not be as in the moment, the experience of its presentation is, and therefore, that's an argument. I still place a lot of emphasis on story.
Mm-hmm.
Now, speaking to what Bryan was talking about, there is one other study that I found. This was by Cornell University, and I threw up a link. It was asking about the greatest regret. You know, they performed a study. Let's see, this was Tom Gilovich. And, well, spoiler on the study, the greatest regret is not what happened, but what failed to happen, the unfulfilled self. And one argument about spoilers having a negative impact is that separate of the spoiling the story, they deny you that chance to experience the surprise. And that feels like an unfulfilled self. So it's a two simultaneous ideas. You could still enjoy the story and feel like you'll never get to know what it would have been like going in
Not knowing.
tabula rasa.
And that's a life skill that a lot of people, myself included, wrestle with a lot. Is, you know, what the big great question of what could have been.
I'm with you there.
Yeah.
But that's all it'll ever be is a what if.
I do agree that spoilers, you know, by their very nature can ruin the surprise. I guess my biggest argument tonight is that surprise factor is such a small aspect of whether or not you're going to like the movie. And we give that aspect now I don't get to have the surprise. We make that a bigger slice of the pie than it actually is. I think that's my biggest point tonight is spoilers can suck and ruin the surprise and take down your enjoyment because you don't get that piece of it, but it's so much smaller than we make it out to be.
Archer, would you like to add or take away anything to the conversation at the moment?
Didn't see the sequel trilogy of Star Wars. Can't add or subtract anything to do with the sequel.
We need to get
trilogy.
you some more culture, my friend.
Stay away from the sequel.
Read a book.
No,
Watch something else.
I refuse to acknowledge the sequel trilogy because I know how bad it is.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay, but do you have any examples in your own personal experience of anything that we've talked about tonight that you can share with us?
That we've talked about? No, but there is one thing that I did want to bring up.
Tell me.
The Mass Effect trilogy ending.
Okay.
Oh, I have a Mass Effect expert in this room behind me. Wow, if only he knew we were talking about it.
I had the ending spoiled for me for the trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
So
and then what happened?
So basically the whole evil way I'm going to die, but the Reapers are, well, dealt with. It lost its whole charm, if you will.
It lost some sting.
And that was my point largely for the night.
Like, you spent 90 plus hours trying to build up basically everyone in the galaxy to fight this huge threat, and it all boils down to red light, green light, blue light.
Which, because Cordero, you mentioned you got an expert on the subject in the room, and I've got an expert on the subject down the hallway. If only they were here, because apparently there is some significance in the overarching story of
that was added in as free DLC a couple months after the fact. Yes.
Right, so, because the backlash was so horrible. But I don't know anything about it. I've had it explained to me a couple of times, and I feel like an idiot for not retaining it. But
it's all Chris and my friends group talked about from 2007 to like 2009 was Mass Effect. Like it was a giant sore spot, and if you accidentally brought up Mass Effect, you were going to get the whole rant all over again. Which is fine. I understand that because I'm like that with a lot of subjects. I remember the whole and basically the ending sucked, and it got such a big backlash that they're like, no, we'll fix it. So they put in a fix, and now it's sucked with sprinkles on top. Is basically the short version of it.
All right,
Chris, is that accurate? He's nodding and laughing.
So, I want to. Yeah, go for it, DJ.
Pretty much everything Archer just said, even his bit about Star Wars, kind of confirms my point. on how knowing what happens has actually made your decision, and you're not really lacking for knowing it. You made your decision because you knew it was going to happen, and knowing what happens, you didn't like it, so you basically saved money.
So
You made your
let me
decision, you knew it was going to happen.
let me ask you guys what you think about the Twylacorn situation, because I've told the story on stream a couple of times about how that made me so magical mystery cure made me so mad that I headbutted a door off the hinges. So that was, and I talked about that was spoiled for me ahead of time, and I'm like, man, they better not actually do that. That's gonna just break the entire lore of the show. It's gonna be horrible. And then I sat down and I watched it, and I'm like, okay, these are good songs, but I wish they would stop singing and explain what's going on. And then they never did, and then it just sucked. So not only was I waiting for it to suck, but it sucked the whole time. And then it was just one thing on top of the next, and I lost my temper just a little bit.
I had a mood already today, though, weren't they?
Yeah. It was a bad day in general, and ponies are usually my relaxer, the thing that bring my blood pressure down below dangerous levels. And then it was like literally one of the worst things I ever saw in my whole life, and I just broke.
Morning in Ponyville shitty. Morning in Ponyville sucks.
Yeah. So that's. So my question here is, do we trust ourselves to be open-minded enough and subjective enough? And I'm sure it differs from person to person, but I believe in my own mind that if they had found a way to convince me in that episode that it wasn't total horse apples, that Twilight could turn into an alicorn for no reason, that I would have been like, okay, she's an alicorn now, but they explained it to me. They gave me a good story, and I might not like the decision, but it makes sense, so I'm not mad. But because everything got confirmed for me, it just made it so much worse. We're running a little bit over time here, so a question I want to ask the audience is so the Generation 5 of My Little Pony kicked off today with a movie, with a script that got leaked to the internet somehow 2 weeks ago. And international releases of the movie has screenshots and GIFs and scenes, and the movie itself popping up all over the place, a week before it's actually supposed to be released. I'm going to see the movie. I'm hosting a party at my house to watch the movie tomorrow. So I want to ask the audience, did you know about the spoilers? Did it change? Have you seen the movie yet? Are you going to watch the movie yet? Do you think you would have had a different opinion between then and now? Or, how do we apply tonight's entire conversation to My Little Pony, the new My Little Pony movie, and does it, how does it stack up for you? So with that being said, we'll give the audience time to answer that question and go down the line here and get some sort of closing arguments on what we each have to say before we get into the audience participation segment. So, Archer, what would you like to say for the conversation tonight? Like, what is your ultimate point?
My ultimate point is, yes, sometimes spoilers might increase your enjoyment and you might find a new appreciation for how they did something. And then there's the Mass Effect issue.
Do you think it might be a person-to-person thing? Like you got people like DJ and Cordero who don't really care, and you got people like me that care a lot. Is that a person-to-person thing, or is that an execution within the medium thing, Archer? What do you think?
I'm gonna have to say execution.
Okay. That's tell me why in a couple of sentences here.
Basically, how do I put this? You might have somebody who whistleblows and they know it's going to be bad. So they decide, oh, hey, how about I make sure everyone knows how bad it is? So we basically don't have to deal with the issue of, oh, people didn't like it, we're gonna get basically downvoted, so to speak, and it all screws us all over.
Alrighty then. DJ, what do you think of what's your ultimate point for tonight?
My ultimate point is spoilers are actually helpful in their own way, whether you get angry at them or not. But in the end, if you truly are so spoiler hesitant, you need to curate your social media experience very heavily and tell your friends you're not looking for spoilers.
I agree.
Yeah, I've done that.
Individual level, honestly.
Yeah. Now, thankfully, having 3 jobs keeps me off of social media pretty good. So,
Everyone just stay off Twitter in general.
Yeah, everybody get off Twitter. Screw them. Cordero, what do you think?
I think I have summed up my point tonight. I guess I'll say it again. I really think that spoilers are a part of the enjoyment, like knowing exactly what's going to happen or not. But I really think it's a smaller slice of the pie than most people think it is. I think if people out there really think that, oh, I've been spoiled, it's ruined the movie for me. I think you should reassess, what is it about movies and stories that you like? Like, what are you there for? Are you there because of knowing what's going to happen? Because one of the funniest bad trope memes that are out there is the "and then they kissed" meme of like fan fiction and stuff, like self-insert fan fiction, like oh, look at your stupid story and they kissed. Well, often one of the best moments in a movie is where the couple finally gets together and kisses at the end, like they win the girl or win the guy or whatever. A kiss scene is often one of the most impactful points of the movie, and it can be so impactful that people want to recreate that in their own works of fiction, and they screw it up so badly that it's become, and then they kiss has become a meme of like bad writing. So if you know the 2 characters in a movie are going to kiss and you think that that's ruined the movie going experience for you, well, think about it. They could really screw that kiss up all the way as bad as a really, really bad cringy fan fiction, or it could be the best kissing scene you've ever seen in a movie, and it's super emotionally impactful. Just think back to your favorite movie where a couple kissed, like the Spider-Man in the Rain Upside Down kiss, or I love you, I know that's not a kiss, but it's an emotional kiss. In Star Wars, like think of your favorite scene where there's a kiss or some kind of romantic sentiment that was done really, really well. If they didn't do it really, really well, you wouldn't have liked it. So knowing that was going to happen is really, really only a small, tiny part. So I guess my message is a positive one. Take heart if you've been spoiled. It's not ruined yet. You've only lost a tiny piece of the pie.
You were talking about your think about your favorite kiss scene, and then Angel of Speed in the chat says Sonic 06.
I was hoping somebody would mean
I don't get it.
Cringe. Oh, just Google it. Just Google Sonic 06 kiss and Merry Christmas.
Cordero, for God's sakes, do not tell people to Google things on my show. I do not trust you, sir.
Google Blue Waffle. Do not. Do not.
Why did you say that? Silver, what do you think for tonight before we get into audience participation?
Well, my thoughts will echo Cordero's, except for the whole Google that. Also, how did this suddenly become Batman v Superman? Why did you say that name?
Martha.
Ah!
Oh, that scene would have sucked, if spoiled or not.
Yes.
Controversial take. I actually like that scene.
Well,
Okay.
It wasn't bad.
well,
You know what? I haven't seen the movie, so I guess you would know more than I would.
Well, there you go. My thought is the act of spoiling can be malicious, like those Harry Potter spoilers you mentioned. I've seen people walking around with T-shirts with the same message, and that it is a malicious act. You're going out of the way to hurt somebody, and that's why the whole regret thing is a factor, which is why I discourage anyone from posting spoilers. But if you are spoiled, it's not the end. Hearing about the ending is not the end. Yes, that makes a lot of sense. I'm very zen.
Mm-hmm.
So, as I said, take heart, give it some thought, maybe wrestle with it, but don't worry. a good story will always draw you back.
All right. Okay, so let's get into participation, audience participation here. So if this is your first time watching the show, I mentioned it at the beginning, but I've been reading through the chat, and taking down some interesting comments. Not really a whole lot of questions this time, but I've been writing them down so that we can get to them. Now, I encourage my guests to do the same. I don't know if they did or not, but we'll find out. First up, we got Commodore Steele says, have we heard of SMILE? So I'm assuming he means Agents of Smile, which is a Lyra Bond book about that like the CIA organization that Lyra or that Bon was in.
Wait, that's what that was?
Yeah, you guys know about that?
I bought
do
the
now.
book.
They alluded to it in the Slice of Life episode, and then they made a book about it. And I've heard the book is actually kind of funny.
I thought Slice of Life was literally just fan service with fan service over fan service.
Well, you
Don't
gotta.
even go there, Silver.
That's true, but you should watch the episode, Archer. It's actually pretty good.
Fun.
So, yeah. Has anybody else heard about Smile?
I've read it.
Yes.
How was it?
It was fun, but it's written for a much younger audience.
Okay.
You can finish it off in, I think, half an hour.
Oh, I'm thinking of something else. I thought we were talking about like Smile HD or whatever that
Oh dear.
violent animation was.
Whoa,
I thought that's what you meant.
no.
As gruesome as it is, it's very well animated.
It is. It's really good.
Very unfortunate. Okay, Multiverse Equestria says, tell Silver Quill Princess Sunshine Spargel says hi. Instead of, it's Spargel and not Sparkle. Dude mistyped. And I'm making fun of him for it.
Spargel.
Well, I'm always happy to receive a greeting from a princess. Also, as we were talking about this before the stream, I will fully endorse Princess Heather Blossom,
Good.
provided she continues to assail Brony with Luna merchandise.
Yeah, so funny story there. I mean, we were just at Everfree Northwest, Silver, and did you see those blankets that they were selling there?
I think I did. I didn't.
Yeah,
I don't.
the big minky fleece ones.
Yee.
Yeah, they were right up the way from your booth actually, and those normally went for $100 a piece, but I'm guessing on Sunday they were just trying to get rid of them. They were selling them for 2 for $60, so I grabbed those, and one of them was it had Princess Luna on it, and that's Heather's favorite blanket right now.
You made the correct choice in many ways.
Indeed. Okay, so Pokemon Fire Eevee says, I can't help myself. I always look at the info regarding spoilers. So I can't say if it changes anything. I still love the movie or the episode. So Pokemon Fire Eevee is proving Cordero and Silver and DJ's points at this moment. But that just kind of goes back to what I was saying, is it's probably a case-by-case individualistic thing of how much these things affect you.
Yeah. Did you get an answer for your Gen 5 question because you asked the audience a question? Did you find any?
I did. I'm getting down there. I got a couple here. Let's see here. Seth Moss says, how many years can a spoiler be until it stops being a spoiler? Well, shoot, years. We were talking about wait 3 days.
Yeah.
The end game ones were so toxic.
Oh.
Oh, people were so mad. Yeah, about spoiling the snap. Like, people were very, very hot about that one.
Is that really a spoiler? Did people seriously not see the snap coming?
You know something? I saw the snap coming. I did not see Mjolnir being. I did not see Captain America. I did.
I've
not seen any Marvel movie since Civil War, and even I saw the snap.
From the moment in Age of Ultron when Captain America kind of moved the hammer, that's when I knew, because there is no kind of moving the hammer, and then Thor's face confirmed it when he saw it jerk a little bit. There's no kind of moving the hammer. You're either worthy or you're not. Captain America didn't want to embarrass Thor and was being polite by pretending he couldn't move it, but he screwed up and it slipped a little bit. So he was able to move it back then.
That was
because you can't kind of be worthy. You either are or not.
that was
And
that was one theory. The other theory that was floating around was he wasn't fully ready, and then by the time we got to Endgame, he went through enough character development that he was in fact worthy. So
and either way, like that's where that was the hint. And to me, I was like, oh, he either can or it's gonna. Like I was happy. So when I saw it, I had an inkling that would happen at some point. So I was like, yes. So I basically had Thor's reaction of I knew it.
I didn't see that coming. I saw Tony's snap coming, but I didn't see Captain America picking up Mjolnir coming. And in retrospect, I have no idea how I didn't see it coming. A, because of that, and also B, because I knew Iron Man snap.
Yeah, at the very end.
Yeah.
Like the one that everybody was mad about was the Thanos snap. Is the one that everybody got hot about being spoiled.
Thanos snapped in the comics. Thanos snapped at the beginning of Infinity War, not the end. So I knew that.
Well, it wasn't Infinity War. That was Infinity Gauntlet, I believe, the comic one. Because Infinity War is actually the sequel.
Okay, but the point is, there's no reason I should not have seen Captain America picking up Mjolnir coming, because I knew that he's done it before in the comics. So
so you knew that was possible there too.
I just completely forgot about it in the context of the movies.
Well, fat blue-haired Twitter Marvel fans didn't read comics. They pretend that they read comics so that they can take over the hobby. They were mad about the snap being spoiled.
Okay.
Well, here's
the Thanos snap.
Outside of knowing the comics, it's a 2-part movie.
Yeah.
That's been obvious.
That there was going to be a snap, or that there was going to be a big problem to solve.
They weren't going to win.
Oh, that they weren't going to win at the end of the first movie? Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a 2-part movie. Of course, they're not going to win at the halfway point.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was a 2-part movie. I didn't know there was another one coming after. You see, this is how good I am at avoiding spoilers, guys.
Good job.
Yeah.
It was always promoted as like Avengers 4 and 5 were like a 2-part, so.
All right.
That's like how they always advertised it at.
Jonas Seaman has a really important question for us. Is a leak and a spoiler the same thing? I think not all spoilers are leaks, but I think all leaks are spoilers.
All spoilers are not leaks. All leaks are spoilers.
I have an easy answer to that. Is the G5 redesigns that were leaked during Friendship is Magic, and how none of those happened. So it was a leak, but it wasn't a spoiler because none of it happened.
Oh, yeah. I guess if they change it,
did we ever actually confirm that those were official? Because that was the question when that happened. Was that official?
That might have been someone's dad who works at Hasbro, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they were said to be official, but they probably pivoted to like, nah, we're gonna do a future thing.
Yeah, sometimes you pivot. I remember those leaks, those Gen 5 leaks. I forgot about those.
Silver, what do you think?
Well, I agree. I think that those G5 design, quote, that's, again, it's the what if. Did having those get leaked, if they are official, did that alter the production for the movie that has come out today? I don't know.
Maybe. Who knows?
Flashpoint.
Yeah, did they pull a Disney on us where, oh shoot, they saw the designs we had and the story we had got leaked. Now we got to change everything. That's a valid question.
We'll have to pester the staff at panels and ask them that question. Hey, did they change that? That sounds like something
not just the staff, but the voice actors. We're gonna
accepted.
Yeah, we're gonna ask
and Lauren Faust because she'll know.
Yeah.
She'll somehow know.
Okay, she'll know about the show she hasn't worked, the movie she never worked on.
But she's Lord and Savior Faust, so she knows everything. That's how that works.
Okay, the Fausticon. I'm not trying to be sarcastic here.
At this point, Lauren Faust is basically the Yog-Sothoth of bronies.
Formalists?
Let's see here. Katrina Raptis says spoilers are kind of hurtful. Because you would personally want to know on your own, so you want to find out without anybody, and this is like somebody telling it for you, so it takes away your experience, which was kind of echoing some of the points I was making tonight.
Yes, it's true. They can be harmful. That is a good description of that slice of the pie I was talking about that you lose when it's spoiled. and it sucks. Losing any part of your enjoyment really sucks, and that's why people are so passionate about it. And people who are deliberately trying to spoil something, no matter how small a slice of the pie I may argue it is, deliberately trying to take that away from someone is really shitty. Like, I do agree with that. In case anyone thinks I'm arguing in favor of going around ruining movies for people, I'm not in favor of that. That's an asshole.
At least by and large, as a culture, I think we figured that out, because even when I'm talking with people who have seen things that I haven't seen, usually when they start talking to me about it, they're like, "Oh, I want to talk to you about this. Have you seen it? No. Do you plan to see it?" And usually my answer is no, in which case go ahead and tell me all about it. I will experience it through you, and I will probably enjoy it more like that than I will otherwise, because and you know, Cordero's had conversations like that with me where I just end the conversation, go, "Wow, that sounds like it would have sucked."
Yeah, most people have that common courtesy and decency in person. It just, you know, it's hard to extend that to the internet. That's not the only courtesy problem the internet has. That's just one of them.
It's just one of them. Yep.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Here's a question. In the chat, some guy named Pony Cordero says, "Have you seen the Mario movie cast announcement?"
Yeah.
God, it's so bad.
It's in the chat. It counts.
Twitter's always having a field day. Twitter's having a field day.
That actually ties into the question of are all spoilers leaks and leak spoilers? A trailer is...
That's an announcement. That's an
announcement. It does spoil a little bit. It's somewhat tactical in its spoiling. But I don't think a movie cast... I've seen people lamenting. I'm like, I'll see how they pull it off.
So... Funny story, I was going to come in here hot. Chris actually saved me. I was going to come in here hot tonight complaining about this movie because for some reason when I watched the Nintendo Direct yesterday, I thought that it was going to be a live-action movie.
Yeah, there.
So look at that cast list and imagine they're making a live-action movie. And now imagine my I was like, what are they doing? They're trolling their own movie. Like, you're going to put... You're gonna put Jack Black on screen as Bowser, and you're gonna put Seth Rogen on screen as Donkey Kong.
Yeah, see, I thought it was gonna be live action too.
Yeah, so I thought that they were inting their own movie. Like, what are you doing? Are you trying to? But then I realized, it's like it's an animation. It's voice acting. And now that I understand that it's voice actors, I'm like, okay, I can see these people as voice actors. But just trying to picture Jack Black in costume, like in a Bowser suit, or in like Bowser mocap, but his face on Bowser, like Scorpion King or something. That's a really funny thought, and I thought that they were going to destroy their movie.
I'm laughing on the inside from that. Yes,
it's a funny thought.
What's up, Archer?
Transfer's funny bit. Oh, Celestia, the implications.
Jack Black Bowser, Jack Black Bowsette.
Oh God.
Yep. Yeah,
But,
don't worry.
Anji
In the mouth.
So now I only have exactly one problem. Like, the cast looks good. Anya Taylor-Joy, the Princess Peach, she's the Queen's Gambit lady, and she's also she was also Queen Princess Brea in the Lost Crystal Netflix, which I loved. So like the cast looks like they're going to be good. It's good actors. They're probably going to be good voice actors. My only issue is Charles Martinet is involved in some way. Charles Martinet is involved in the project, but he's not playing Mario. The role of Mario will not be played by Mario. And that's upset. Now that I know that it's not live action, it's funny, my anger flipped. When it was live action, I'm like, well, yeah, I can see Charles Martinet not being a live action Mario. That would be difficult. Now that I know it's voice acting, I am pissed to high heaven that Charles Martinet, Mario himself is not going to be Mario.
If I had to listen to 90 minutes of that voice, I would probably shoot myself in the theater.
All right. Well, it's going to be Chris. Okay. So how about Chris Pratt imitating that voice is better?
We'll just
he's going to imitate it.
True.
Chris Pratt.
It's me, Mario. Everybody do the Mario. This is my brother Luigi Mario.
Now you see, that would not be true to the character, but I could at least stomach 90 minutes of that if I absolutely had to.
Although now you've reminded me of actually seeing 2 live action Marios. Oh, the trauma.
Yeah.
If I may interject.
Why do I?
No.
What's up,
why do I
DJ?
get the film on that?
Here's the thing. The movie is being made by Illumination. The people behind Despicable Me, Minions, The Grinch, all that.
The Emoji Movie?
No, that was Sony.
Okay.
The problem with Illumination is that it's mediocre. It looks nice, but it's mediocre animation, and the only draw to the movies is the casting of A-listers that everyone's heard of.
Yeah.
And it's the same exact issue I took with Scoob when it came out, because Scooby-Doo has its own voice actors, has a set voice actors that they use for every movie every year. Didn't use a single one of them except the voice of Scooby for the big Hollywood Scoob movie. And it's the big thing that's happened ever since Robin Williams debuted in Disney's Aladdin. The thing that they always use to sell movies now is star power. Not the story, not the movie itself. It's, you've heard of these actors, they're in this movie, that'll get you in the seats.
I hate that.
really?
I hate that
really,
works on everybody else, because me, I don't give a frick.
Yeah.
I think it's actually an
I
older.
don't care anymore about the
thought
actors.
Colin
The movie.
was
Okay.
diversity.
Silver, what were you trying to say?
I think that tactic is even older than Robin Williams and the Genie. The Transformers movie, 1985.
Yeah.
That relied very heavily on guest star power as well.
Orson
Orson
Welles.
Welles as Unicron, and the little kid is like, I don't know who Orson Welles is. Re-kill Prime, you bastards.
Well, I
So-
bring up Disney's Aladdin because
So
I think
I guess you could say that those.
Well, hold on a second, Archer. You interrupted. What'd you say, DJ?
I was bringing up Disney's Aladdin because I believe that's where it got super popularized, is because ever since that movie, it's been star power pretty much for every movie.
Yeah, you're definitely right. And what sucks is that it works. Like
It does.
that is an objective, repeated truth. That it works. That for some reason people just like that better.
Insert
Okay.
David Hayter rant. Hashtag justice for Charles Martinet. Get it going on Twitter.
All right, I have no idea what we're talking about. Next,
David Hayter is the voice of Snake.
okay.
Oh, Snake.
Next here we got Emerald Spencer saying, didn't Silver do a video on this? Silver, did you do a video on this?
A video on spoilers?
Yeah, I'm guessing.
Well, let's see here. I have talked about spoilers, like we knew Flurry Heart was coming out and she had wings. I did a video with Josh Scorcher on that.
Mm-hmm.
I did just recently I talked about the G5 press release and some of the information that came with it and how that colored people's perceptions or led to a lot of reactions. And in some ways, I wonder if getting those reactions out of the way helps make more receptive to the final product, or it could shut you down. Again, person by person.
All right.
I will also be I'm working on a video about the designs for G5, the spoiler of the bed sheet that spoiled the designs, and how that all goes. Now I'll get to contrast what I perceived of the characters against what I saw, which is also fun.
Now, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, but I can't say I've ever tackled just the idea of spoilers before.
Alrighty then. Now we're getting into the question I had asked the audience here. Jonah Seaman says, I heard there were spoilers about the movie, but I didn't watch them or look at them. I saw the movie, and I think I'm better off for it. So I think he's implying here, I'm sorry, Jonah, if you're still out there and I'm putting words in your mouth, that he definitely would have experienced the movie differently if he had gone in knowing all the spoilers. Jonathan Magny says, I heard about the spoilers, but I tried my best to stay away from them since I want to watch G5 for myself. So, little bit of a repeat of the last one. Kazmina Inspira, I'm sorry, says, these days when everything gets leaked or spoiled for me, I take it with a grain of salt as it may or may not be true. So, that sounds like Kazmina will inevitably see spoilers and is at peace with that, but is like, okay, that may or may not be true, and just kind of writes it off without letting it affect her, which I think is probably the ideal thing to do. Does anybody disagree with me there?
That sounds like a good philosophy that they have. If
Yes.
they can just roll it off like that, yeah. Because I agree. Like, hey, if I get spoiled, que sera.
Mm-hmm. And then lastly, for what I had saved was Noah Harris saying, question for Brony and Silver, what did you think of having Vanessa Hudgens in My Little Pony? I don't care. Is she a good voice actress, and is the story good? That's like 90% of what I care about. The only thing I can say for the movie is I don't think ponies work very well in a 3D animated format, and that's going to take a lot of getting used to for me. I've never had something ruined for me on visuals alone, but gosh darn, I don't like it as it is right now. We'll see.
Yeah. Based on the trailers, it looks like it's going to be, and this is what I've been saying, My Little DreamWorks, it's going to be like a DreamWorks style. It's like DreamWorks style animation, humor, writing, characterization. So if you like DreamWorks animated movies, for kids, and they've done some good ones, that seems to be what we're getting as a My Little Pony series. I don't think it's going to have the fandom impact that G4 had. I don't think it's going to be something that's going to be easy for the adult fans to get really wrapped up in the way we did with G4. I think it's just going to be, kind of a fun kids series that's out there, like any other kids movie or show that has, that has some fun things about it. But I don't think it's going to be like super bad, like it's going to be bad. And but I also don't think it's going to be, Gen 4, the resurfacing.
Alrighty then. Yeah, go ahead, DJ.
The reponify.
There you go. Join the herd again.
As someone who actually has seen the movie, I watched it this morning.
Spoiler.
It does not feel like a DreamWorks movie. I'll kill that. I'll kill that for you right now. It does not feel like a DreamWorks movie.
Really? Because the trailers do.
The animation is off in some scenes, but it doesn't take too much to get used to, really.
That probably won't bother me. You
aren't wrong that it doesn't feel like it's going to make a huge impact. Because to me, it's okay. It's a good movie. It's fun.
Yeah.
But it really kind of feels like its own thing.
Yeah.
It does. It's still ponies. It still kind of feels like the ponies we know.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a different animation style. Kind of like we had the first movie.
Sorry. I feel like the fandom will continue being largely a G4 fandom. Like G5 is entering the larger MLP fandom scene, obviously, and the G4 people were part of the larger pony fandom scene, whether we like it or not, depending on who you are. But I think that the G4, the Brony fandom we know, is probably going to just continue being a G4 fandom, but the G5 stuff it's going to be there. It's going to be out there. You're going to see them popping up in art and popping up in fanfics and people referencing to it now because it's new and it's there. But I think our fandom, or the Brony fandom, is just going to carry on being a G4 fandom.
It'll be like that anthology short.
DJ
G4.
DJ, I need you to spoil something about the movie for me.
Sure.
It is
Who dies?
Is
Which one dies?
Is Twilight dating Flash Sentry?
Not in my fic.
Okay, I don't know how to phrase this. They are not in the movie.
Frick, it's ruined. I hate it.
They are.
All you needed to do was have Twilight dating Flash Sentry, and that's how you just make it an Oscar-winning movie. But without the flashlight, it sucks.
Okay.
I chose a hell of a time to hit
I'm going to give a big spoiler here. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
Leave the chat. Close the video.
It's not. We don't know what's happened. Okay. Here's the thing. Between G4 and G5, what happened is not in the movie. Okay.
Yeah, I figured it wouldn't be. I had a feeling it wouldn't be.
Not solved. It is not solved. Okay. So that is something we have to hope for with the series.
I'm glad it's not in there. Like that's something. Yeah, that should be something we find out later, I think. So that's probably the right call.
Alrighty then.
That shipping was over in a flash.
Hey.
Flash
Set is a superior ship.
I'm not. Wait, what did you say?
Flash set is a superior ship. Do you want me to repeat it again?
You're
Duck
wrong.
and cover, y'all.
Two flashes.
Flash set is canon. It's the OG ship.
Yeah, sure, it's OG, but let me ask you this: Would you go back to your abusive ex just because she may or may not have changed?
Read my
Abusive.
read my fic and I'll change your mind.
Okay, everybody in the chat, go read his fic. So, all right. Did any of you guys see any chat that you wanted to address before we wrap up for tonight?
Well, I feel I should clarify. Chat in a little bit with my friend who was talking about seeing Frozen. I misrepresented. Seeing Let It Go intrigued him enough to see the movie, but also, by comparison, none of the movie could measure up. So it did alter his perception. I described it poorly. So my apologies for that.
Oh, okay. Anybody else?
Sorry, I was definitely for all that to avoid spoilers.
Okay. If there's nothing else we want to address in the chat, I think we can wrap it up.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. So, Archer, some final thoughts, and tell me one thing you learned tonight.
Wait. Make sure my headset. I learned one thing and one thing only.
Tell me.
Spoilers are personal perception. Some people think they're good. Some people think they're bad. We'll stop.
All right. Did you not already know that getting in?
I said I was coming in a gray area.
All right. DJ, one thing you learned tonight.
I suppose I needed to be reminded that there are ways of maliciously spoiling, because usually in my experience, it's you just watch something and you try to like share it into the internet space, and it was like, stop spoiling. It's like, I just wanted to talk about it.
Yeah.
Be mean.
There
are those instances you brought up, like Snape killed Dumbledore, just Homer Simpson's an idiot, whatever.
the Rift used to make separate chats so that those who wanted to talk in a spoilery sense, or talk about the whatever happened in the latest episode in depth, could do so away from those who hadn't seen it yet and cared. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's how we used to deal with that kind of thing to avoid it, and we would get really mad at people if they didn't respect that guideline.
Makes sense.
Cordero, one thing you learned tonight, and some closing thoughts.
I learned that fan art of Jack Black Bowsette is inevitable, and we just have to accept our fates.
Accept it. I say go forth. Go. Draw.
I mean, like I said,
Make it beautiful.
We already had that in Jumanji.
Could
He's
you-
been a girl.
Could you guys please just not encourage degeneracy on my show?
Pass the bleach.
There's no reason to encourage it. It already exists.
Check out them thighs, man.
Alrighty then. Silver.
Everyone spam the art to Brony.
I'm gonna kill all of you. Silver. Some closing.
Wasn't be the first person to try.
Silver, give us some closing thoughts on one thing you learned tonight.
Closing thoughts. Spoilers are going to be a part of any fandom you enjoy. By intent or by accident, they happen. And how we respond can be an opportunity to learn about ourselves. For example, tonight, I learned a better perspective of how Brony approaches things and his thought process and how it can influence his perception.
And now I've
story.
lost all of Silver's respect.
No, come on. I never respected you.
There you go.
No, I was very fascinated to learn that. And I also now I know that you're plotting my demise, so we're going to have to do more than 6 feet distance at the next con.
Okay. Sounds good.
Ready to recorder.
Oh, geez. I haven't that reminds me, I just haven't gotten around to editing the King Somber video yet, but I was particularly mean to Silver in the filming of that.
Oh, yes, it will be delightful.
Yep. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed the show tonight, especially those who are tuning in for the first time. Silver, thanks so much for suggesting tonight's topic. I had a lot of fun talking about it. Thank you so much for cutting your stream to come on my show tonight.
Oh, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you all for being a part of this discussion.
Indeed. And Archer, thanks for joining the conversation as well. Did you have fun tonight, Archer?
I enjoyed myself quite thoroughly.
Good. And DJ Cordero, how about you guys? Did you enjoy yourselves?
Oh, fun as always.
Good. So,
I enjoyed it.
all right, good. So, all those listening out in the chat, if this is your first time watching, if you'd like to get on the show, I would love to have you. I just asked that we get you on my Patreon. It's only $1 a month, gets you into the Discord server where your topic suggestions become priority. You can make suggestions for my other live stream show, Friday Night Fights, where we play games, and you can come on for those as well. And with that, big shout out to my very generous supporters on Patreon, especially those on the $10 and up tier, two of which are Pony Cordero and DJ Skywalker.
My name's so disappointedly.
And well, actually, to be totally honest, I'm stalling because I accidentally closed the window where I have the list of my $10 patrons, and I needed to talk slowly so I could pull it back up again. Thank you for making me expose myself, Cordero. The other $10 patrons...
I thought you were just disappointed with me. That made sense. You could have just rolled with it.
The other $10 patrons are Princess Heather Blossom, Shady Oak Ministry, Sid McConroy, Autoknight, Emerald Spencer, Sodden, Girder, Senko, Kyle Christensen, Stephen A. Wilson, Rein-Kun, Morningstar, QFlash, Billy Henline, Ultimate Max, Dark Malcontent, and Pony Cordero! There, hopefully that made up for it.
Okay, that was just disingenuous.
All right. I hope you enjoyed the show tonight. Have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe. God bless. And we'll catch you on the next one. I'll be on Princess of the Blossoms channel tomorrow night, 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to just hang out and do some crocheting together. And next week, we're going to play some video games at Friday Night Fights. Friday, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I hope to see you all there. Have a great night. Say good night, everybody.
Thank you so much for playing my game.
Good night, everybody.